Hi, I'm Chad with Move for Guitar. This lesson is from our series Guitar Chords for Beginners. In this lesson, I'm going to show you how to play an open Csus4 chord. Here's an open Csus4 chord. And this is a really nice sounding chord. It can add a lot of nice color to your playing. But it is a more difficult chord to play, so don't learn this as one of your first chords. There's other chords that are a lot easier to play and more useful and beneficial as a beginner. So if you look in the description, there's links to all those chords that I've taught. But you can learn this chord before you get into more complicated bar chords and more intermediate and advanced chords. So it is something you can learn as a beginner. Just make sure that your hand has played a lot of other chords first and can really handle playing a more difficult chord like this. And definitely learn the F major chord before this. And if you have the F major chord down, it's going to set your hand up for being able to play this chord, because with the F major chord, you're barring the first and second string in the first fret. You're going to do the same thing with this chord. You're going to bar the first and second string in the first fret. But it's probably harder than an F major chord for you because it's a fairly big stretch to hear with these two fingers. Although if you know the F major / C, all you're really doing is taking off your second finger and letting that string be open. So now that's a Csus4. So if you know the F major / C, just take your second finger off and now that's a Csus4. And there's another way to play this that's a little easier, which I'll show you in a sec. First I'll show you the fingering for this way. Your third finger goes on the 5th string, 3rd fret. Your 4th finger goes on the 4th string, 3rd fret. The next string is open, which is the 3rd string. And then, like I said, you're barring the 1st and 2nd string in the 1st fret. So if you already know how to play an F major chord, that bar will be easy. But now you have a bigger stretch and have to really avoid muting out that 3rd string. So you're really going to have to be on the tips of your fingers and over here and avoid muting that out, and avoid muting it out with your first finger by accidentally reaching up too far to mute that up right here. And then the 6th string is not in this chord, so you have to mute that string out or really be careful not to hit it, because if you leave that note in there, it's no longer a sus chord, which I won't get into the theory, but that note can't be in this chord. So if you can lightly touch up underneath with your 3rd finger and mute it out, it's not going to matter if you hit it. So that's one way to play it. Another way that's a little simpler is to not bar in the 1st fret and instead just mute out the 1st string, because you can't have that 1st string in there to play this chord. It needs to be muted out. So you could do the exact same thing and just mute out the 1st string by lightly touching it with your 1st finger. That way you don't have to worry about barring, and then you're just playing the 5th string, 4th string, 3rd string, and 2nd string, and muting out the 6th and the 1st string. So that might be a little easier for you to do, so that you're not having to worry about barring and putting so much pressure back here and then having to reach all the way up to the 3rd fret with those two fingers. So you can try both ways. So the one way, I already showed you. This way, you're just going to leave out the 1st string and mute it out with your 1st finger, just lightly touching it. Or you could lightly touch it with your hand if it works that way. Everyone's hands are different, so it's hard to know exactly what part of your hand can touch that and mute it out. And if your hands are really big, you could reach up with your thumb and mute out the 6th string, especially if you're playing the version without barring here, because if you're not barring, it's going to make it a little easier for you to reach your thumb up. If you're barring, your thumb probably needs to be down. But if you're not barring with your 1st finger, you can probably reach your thumb up if your hands are big enough and mute out the 6th string with your thumb and not have to worry about muting it out with your 3rd finger. So with this one, when you're not barring with your 1st finger, you might want to hold it like this. And then it could even mute out that 1st string easier with your hand, so that's another option. So that's a Csus4 chord.